Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Visual Communication and Media. My name is Adam Rozeski. It's a pleasure to see each and every one of you. I'm so excited to have you all here for week 2. Going to be a crazy week with this week. Well, in my life, but I'm sure everybody's going to be really excited. By the way, happy Valentine's Day. I know it's a really cool time and everything, so I hope you have some good times with your significant others, or if you have family and friends, definitely spend them with. Just to give everybody a heads up, I had to switch my lecture to today, actually, so all of the lecture notes and the announcements have been changed, just to give everybody a heads up. So that way it's Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central tonight. So we'll have lecture then. Just to kind of, since I'm having my baby on Wednesday, I want to make sure I have enough time to, get everything set up on Tuesday. So I appreciate it. Yeah, I know it's Valentine's Day. If you can't make it that day, it's okay. I understand completely. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, just let me know. I'll have the recording posted on Tuesday morning. That way you have it ready to go for the week. And I'll try and get through as many grades as I can before Wednesday as best I can. So I'm just trying to prepare for, the D-Day on Wednesday. But just to give you a heads up, I figure I'd talk about what we're going to be starting this week. So last week, we talked a lot about the different mediums of how we communicate visually. Now we're going to start getting into how people design visuals to gather certain responses. And there's 5 main response types. There's sensory, perceptual, technical, emotional, and ethical. And each week we're going to go through each one. One of them we're actually going to cover 2 because technical is pretty easy to cover. However, this week we're going to talk about sensory responses and how visuals are designed to trigger a sensory response to the user, the viewer. And a lot of times, usually it's based off of organization and colors. So we tend to focus on colors, lines, how images are laid out, how everything is just positioned to create that visual message to the viewer. And a lot of times they trigger memories or they trigger certain effects or feelings a lot and base it off of emotions with sensory response types. And I figure I'd talk a little bit about colors and how colors are affected with different personality types and how different cultures use colors with them. So let's get into that a little bit. So really excited. So yeah, a lot of different introduction to visual communication. So this week we're going to be talking about sensory communication, and this is just like a good intro way to start with colors and how colors are used to trigger emotions and to trigger specific response types from specific areas. And a lot of times sensory communication uses a lot of sight, color, lines, organization. And speaking, just starting with colors emphasize life and emotion, and they communicate both visually and emotionally. So colors can mean different things depending on how you've grown up, what experiences you've gone through, and what different elements that you've kind of inherited over the years. So, and they use colors to trigger these feelings or emotions, or certain colors tend to trigger humans a little bit differently. For example, red is a very powerful color, is very confident in your face, also can mean danger and warning a lot. Speaking of which, there's red. So in the Western cultures, but if we take a look at it in other different cultures, for example, in India, this red means wealth, power, and fertility. It's a very traditional but very proud color for that country. South Africa, it really means mourning and violence, much like the Western cultures, but they're more about death, where like we tend to see black a lot of times for the United States and for Europe, but they use red a lot for mourning and for funerals. China and Japan, this is the main color for their countries. It's pride, royalty. They focus on happiness and prosperity. Red is that yellow color to us, where red is very their focus on how they value pride and value country spirits, but also just happiness as well. It's a huge thing. Now, blue, just looking at blue from a different aspect, blue, we see it as calming, trusting, used as depression or sadness. We tend to see blue where it's like very relaxing, and people tend to trust things that are built on blue. However, other countries tend to use it, and other locations tend to use it for something else. For example, China, blue is considered the color for girls, as we use it for boys in the United States. That's something to keep in mind. With red is actually what they use for boys over in China. And blue is a really big color in a lot of religions. For example, Latin and Catholicism, it's a sign of hope and good health. And in Judaism, it's the sign of holiness and divinity. It speaks for God itself. And so that's why you see a lot of rabbis wear blue on their robes and everything. It kind of signifies holiness and divinity. So it's a really interesting aspect with blue. So blue can be used in a lot of different ways. Now, yellow, we see it in the Western cultures as very cheery, sunny, warm, where it can be used for caution, like red, but not really like it's more like a warning sign rather than like an immediate, like, oh my gosh, alarm. So it's kind of like the warm up sign to that. But however, we tend to see a lot of yellow where it's like bright, sunny, fun, because it reminds us of the outdoors and, the summer season, spring. So it's really great. But however, if we go to France, yellow actually signifies jealousy, weakness, and contradiction. Much like in the fact that where they used to call people yellow bellies, I think, in France, and that was a metaphor they used to use all the time. That's where that came from. So yeah, yellow is different in France. In Egypt, it's a sign of mourning or for passing, and also for royalty. So much like how uh, red was used for China for royalty, and also red was used for mourning for South Africa. Egypt uses it for yellow, and then Thailand actually considers it for good luck. Unlike other countries like Ireland that uses green. Speaking of green, that's right. Ireland actually uses associates with good luck. We do as well, a little bit, but also in American cultures and Western cultures, we tend to see it as spring, freshness, a beginning of a new time. So that's why we tend to tie it in with like experience, and that's why we call people, we got a greenhorn here or something, or yeah, that guy's pretty green. It pretty much tells us that he's new a lot. We also tend to see greed and jealousy kind of around this, but because green's the color of money, and it kind of we've associated that color with money, and so we tend to see that there too. So green can be used in multiple different facets and emotions. Like I said, Ireland is all about luck. In Asian cultures, they call this like relate to new beginnings and new life. So we tend to see green a lot when newborns are born. Also, South American, this actually symbolizes death or independence. That's why you tend to see a lot of green, especially in the Mexican flag, because it signifies their independence from Spain, and that's how that flag was built. So yeah, the multiple colors are used in multiple different areas based on what you've seen and experiences. But yeah, that's just a heads up of what we're getting into this week. We'll also talk about lines, and we'll also talk about contrast and balance and how they kind of play a part with sensory communication, how layout and organization really affects sensory response types. So we'll talk about all that on Monday night, which will be tonight. I'll give you a heads up. We'll go over your assignments and everything, make sure everything's good to go. Other than that, that's all I got. So be safe, have fun, enjoy. I'll see everybody for tonight's lecture at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, and should have everything ready to go. Thanks for your patience, and thank you for dealing with the quick lecture change. Again, I'll have my recordings up, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Other than that, that's all I got. Enjoy, everybody. Can't wait to see everybody for lecture tonight.